Good morning, my friend. There was once a wise man that realized the world was in a terrible state and he wanted to improve society, improve the world for everybody. So he wrote up a whole plan to solve world hunger, poverty, lack of education, sickness. But he realized that it's impossible for him to get it done in his lifetime. So he said, you know what, I'm scrapping that idea. He threw it away. I'm going to try to transform just my country. But very quickly he realized that he doesn't have the manpower, the connections, he doesn't have the time to do it. So he said, you know what, I'm not going to change my whole country. I'm going to change just my city. He tried, he made speeches, nothing worked. So he said, you know what? My sphere of influence is my family. I'll change my family. That also didn't work. Till when he was 75 years old, he realized, you know what? The only person I can change is myself. But the question is, you want to make a change in the world. I want to make a change in the world. But if I took a dime, 10 cents, and I put this 10 cents in a charity box, because today is a fast day, and therefore I don't have my cup, my coffee cup, my mug, and we're giving to Koil Chabad. Make sure you give to Koil Chabad. It's a great tzedakah in Eretz Yisrael for poor people. They do amazing things. They have soup kitchens. They help with groceries, and unbelievable. It's like literally it's the food stamps and WIC of Israel. The Israeli government gives them a lot of money, so they should be able to support the poor people. And the question is, what does this 10 cents do? Does it really make a difference? Do they really need my 10 cents? And that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss, the Alter Rebbe is going to discuss. We explained already the past 4 days, the great length. What is happening when I daven? What is happening in very short? What I learn. Davening is a process. I'm going closer to God. I'm getting more spiritual. And learning is I'm tapping into something that God brought down to my level. The question is, and this is the question which I want to ask myself. The question is, could I get higher than that? How much would it take to break the barrier? And that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss the power of 10 cents, the power of one action. One action could transform your life and could transform the whole entire world. Now you're asking, how could that be? How could it transform the entire world? Well, the Rambam says that a person always needs to look at myself that I am 50-50. I have 50% good deeds, 50% bad deeds. The entire world is equal. That means the entire world is on a balance. There's 50% of the world is doing good, 50% is the opposite of good. If I do one action, I could transform myself and the entire world into the positive scale of judgment. And that's a very, very radical statement, that I could transform the entire world. So we know, Lahavdil by science tells us that when a butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the world, it has an effect on the other side of the world. So we have to learn from that, and that's what we're going to discuss today, and the Kabbalistic and Hasidic interpretation of why one action makes a difference. And that's going to be an unbelievable thing. That's what he says of B'chol Ma'idcha Inyan HaTshuva. B'chol Ma'idcha, that's the idea of tshuva. It says, V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha. We say levavecha, with all your heart, is davening. Davening is Aveda Shebelev, and it's a process. We explained the great length in a few classes, 4 classes. Then we have nafshecha, which is it's explained in 4 lines over here in this Maimer, learning Torah. It's a very, very simple system because Hashem already did all the work for us. He did all the legwork. Then v'chol ma'idcha is the idea of tshuva. And that's really what the crux of this Maimer is, of smell tachas l'reishi, the idea of Parshas kisisa. Parshas kisisa is the Jewish people sinned. They just had a wedding. They just connected to God, to Hashem. Hashem took them out of Mitzrayim. He did the 10 plagues, and he gave them everything they need, took care of them. He had the clouds of glory, Nani HaKaved, cleaning up after them, protecting them from snakes and scorpions, flattening the mountains and filling up the sand. They were given royal treatment. And what did they do? They built themselves the worst aver you could do, building an idol. But the Alter Rebbe is saying is that we have to look at the positive. In other words, this is something very important to keep in mind, that we're not saying, I want to make a disclaimer, we're not saying you should go and do a sin. Because the Alter Rebbe says clearly in Tanya, and it's brought from the Chazal, someone says, I'm going to do it in Avera because I know that shuv is so great, and it's so powerful. It's a deeper connection to God. So I want to do an avera. It's like in a relationship. When you get into a fight with your spouse, our example, not taking out the garbage or whatever it is. Okay, so then you make up, and now the relationship gets stronger because of it. But if intentionally you do that, then you can't. It's very hard to get back together from that. You intentionally hurt me. You knew it's going to hurt me, and if you're saying you were stressed out and you didn't notice and you apologize, you didn't try not to do it again, fine. But you did it on purpose. So it's very important to even though we're going to discuss the advantage of doing shuvah, it like they say in all the magic shows and that they do in all the shows, they say don't try it at home. Don't try this at home. So we're now on page Pevav, Amud Beis, the second paragraph that starts Uvechol. Uvechol meitcho inyan tshuva. What's v'chol meitcho with all your might? Is the idea of tshuva, which explained elsewhere. It doesn't say v'chol ma'od with all the might. V'chol ma'od means I have to 10 cents. 10 cents wouldn't cut the grade. Ma'od a lot. I need millions and billions. And we know that that Hashem says in the pasuk ma'od cha, you're a lot. What do you mean you're a lot? It's like in America now there's an expression, my truth and your truth. There's only one truth. What do you mean your strength? The answer is, what Alter Rebbe is saying is, Hashem we explained before at great length with the diagrams on the board that the energy in this world, the chayis aliki, the Eirei Seif in this world is very bitzimtzum. It's extremely bitzimtzum. So even though you're davening and learning, you're doing a mitzvah, you're connecting to a limited connection to Hashem, but it's only a ray. Mishkos, like says in the pasuk, Hashem's energy leaves like a lightning bolt. It's like, for example, think about it in yourself. In your mind, if you had one thought, what is the value of that thought compared to your soul? You could think unlimited thoughts throughout your life. You could not just think unlimited thoughts, but in a certain sense, that thought is nothing compared to you. It doesn't even express you. It doesn't express your essence. It doesn't express your creativity. It's a fractional fraction of a 0.0000000 of a 0.0000% of who you are. It's nothing of who you are. Like it says in the Pasuk, God formed their hearts together. In other words, everything in this world was created with one thought. We think to create the whole world with all the genius and the intelligence Hashem has in the world, it had to have so many business plans, so many architectural plans, designs, it had to have meetings and meetings. No, with one thought, God created all the hearts. All the hearts in the same shavais. Every person is different. You think what you think is looks beautiful, I think is ugly. What you think tastes delicious, I think you think that sweet is delicious, I think spicy is delicious. Sephardi, Ashkenazi food, different perspectives. One person thinks that a relationship is healthy if you're talking respect with your spouse. The other person says, no, the whole relationship that's healthy is if you scream at your spouse and arguing with them because being menschlich is boring. Ain't they same Shabbos? That was all created with one thought, one machshava. Now think in yourself, what is one machshava, one thought relative to your ability to think and to who your soul is? Just like how by way of a mashal, that your machshava, my machshava is nothing compared to all the machshavas I could have in my whole life, in general, and to who I am, my intelligence, my wisdom, my creativity. Before we get to creativity and all that, you could think unlimited machshavas. Also, too, if that's how it's by a neshama maguf by a yid, for sure that's how it's by the Eibishter. That this thought is not considered anything compared to God's core. We say in davening, the same you, the same Hashem that was before the world was created, is the exact same Hashem afterwards. Nothing changed in him. But there's in a massive world with all the wisdom, all the business ideas, all the people that are born, all the creative ideas. The building is built, the war is fought, the strategies, the plans. Yeah, but for God, that's like one machshava. And God says, I am God. I didn't change, because remember, it's all coming from Him. Just like you, one thought is nothing. The entire length of reality of this world, which our sages tell us is 6,000 years, and then the world to come, and the upper Gan Eden, the lower Gan Eden, and the days of Mashiach and the resurrection of the dead, Chiyas HaMesim, the dead people will come back alive. It's a very long time. It's only compared to Hashem like one moment, 1 second. They say there's a joke. What's the difference between children and adults? That children are always saying up. They want to be up. Wait up. I want more ketchup. Mommy, could I stay up? Adults, we're saying slow down, calm down. So put it down. So everything is relative. It could be the same experience, and for a child, it feels forever to walk. Remember the first time you learned how to read? It took you forever. You had to read the Nekuda and the ladder. Now you just fly through it. And your son was just learning how to read. He's like, Tati, you're a genius. How did you read so fast? Everything is relative. So that's how it's between a person. For sure, by the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibush, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Ani Havai Elish Nisi. I am Yud Kei Vav Kei. I didn't change. That comparative to Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's like one machshava. It's garnished. It says in another place, case, fine. So in other words, this world, what Al Tareb is explaining is this world gets energy, that we explained the other day, through the tzimtzum. That a higher world gets more energy, and as it goes down from Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya to our world, there's less and less energy. But our Avodah is, and that's what Al Tareb says, that Tshuva brings the goal. I want to just show this little diagram here. So we have two parts of this picture. We have Goyla. Al Tareb said that Tshuva mekareves hagula. Doing Tshuva brings Gula quicker. But your question is, how much quicker can I make it? And in reality, I'm just giving 10 cents. I'm just doing a small little action. How's it going to transform the entire world? So what's interesting is that in Lashon HaKodesh, the word Goyla, exile, and the difference between that and the difference in Geula are two differences. One difference is the dat on top of the vav in Goyla. And Geula, the dat falls down from the top. It goes from here, and it goes over here. Geula. And there's an aleph there as well. Now the gematria of aleph, what does aleph equal? Aleph equals just 1. Aleph equals just 1. Just 1. All you need is one more action, one more thought, one more speech that brings Mashiach right now. How could it be? The answer is basically in the difference. If you look at all the Nekudas in Goyla, go back to Goyla for a second. This over here represents an infinite energy. This is the finite energy. It's on bottom. This is the head and this is the foot. The Rosh and the Regel. So just like we have the Rosh is infinite energy, and as it goes down, there's a little spark. This thing here is not just any other vowel. This here is the infinite energy of Hashem that you're bringing down, the Avodah V'yid to bring down. It's really a spark that's coming not through the tzimtzum. And therefore, when you bring it down through your one action, you're not just bringing down one. It's like, I have a question for you. How much is one worth? How much is one worth? It depends what's in front of it. Is there a K in front of it? That's 1,000. If there's a B, it's 1 billion. That one depends what type of one it is. Like we know in math, the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. Or it's called number placement. Yeah. So number placement, that over here, and this one is not just the regular one. This is the Alufei Shaloilam. This is revealing that in every experience we have, there's a supernatural experience. You're bringing it down from the Rosh, you're bringing it down into the Goyla, now the truth is the Aleph is always there, just it's not apparent, so we're not really bringing something that's not in existence. That's a separate discussion. Let's look inside. This is our Avodah. This is the Avodah of the spark of my Neshama. So this represents your Neshama, so to speak. We'll call it the Rosh. We'll call it some the Rosh. I'm going to write over here the Rosh. This also I'm going to call the Rosh. And this is the Regel. This one is called the Regel. The Regel is the bottom. Regel is the bottom of the word. Okay, so we have the Rosh and we have the Regel. Rosh and Regel. Rosh and Regel. This is your neshama. This represents infinity. You could come up with unlimited ideas. You could come up with unlimited words, unlimited thoughts, unlimited actions. You are, a neshama, a soul, comes from an unbelievable space. Now, there's the Rosh and the Regel. The Rosh is where it's in its source. When the soul comes into this world, it's just the Regel. It's called a foot because it's hidden and it's not so apparent of what it is. The whole soul doesn't enclose itself into your body. Only a spark and a ray from it. And the root and the source of it is above in a way of makif. The spark that's mispashbet, that spreads out into your body is called a regel. Even though a soul is a soul, and Al Bashandav says, a spark of the neshama, like I said before, this one is not just a regular one. This is an infinity. It's a one of Alufi Shalaylam. It's a part of God. But relative to its source, to the Rosh that it came from, it's only considered a regel. But B'chol Ma'idcha was what brings Geula. Why? Because in every experience, in every thing I eat, every orange I bite into, every 10 cents I give to charity, if I'm giving 10 cents more than I could afford, I could have given $1 million before that. But if I give 10 cents more than I could, I just drew down from the Aleph. I just drew down an Aleph, one. It's not just the one, that's a 1 cent. It's infinity. I drew down a feeling, that's what brings Geula. By a bittul, and if it means mamish, this means nullifying the soul in its existence completely. In other words, in a certain sense, davening and learning is really an expression of me. And B'chol Ma'idcha is an expression of God. This is what Alter Rebbe said in a few weeks previously. Alter Rebbe said that the biggest challenge of a person in this world, the biggest challenge is my ego. My ego is the biggest challenge. Why? And that's the reason why a person, he says here on page 158, Parshas Mishpatim, v'u'ikin nekudas klibas gasa ruach shenasa b'teva adam b'chatei me'etz hadas toivera dahin sherayas atzim u'makir chesoyin yidei shezeh toivloi. V'shekosov ateidah isha ki toiva is l'maychel v'gemer v'zo sheresh hazuama u'makir l'chol ha'tayves v'averis ki birchem zeh l'tevasei l'liros mash'in kelim ha'chet ha'yarumim כדכתיב מיגיל לך חולי, כי לא היו מרגישים שום הרגיש חסוין המטבע לעצמי, רק שהיו משיגים על גילי כוסי יסברך חולי. So the fact that I'm able to do a sin, what is an avera? An avera is I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling the goyla part of it. Now the only way to get back, like we said before, regular process is I'm in the regular process. I'm getting gilei lekos. But once there's a goyla, it calls out in me a deeper. The Gemara speaks about this. Alter Rebbe brings it in Tanya from the Gemara. The Gemara says if you see a taxi, for example, in your village, I used to do this actually when I take the train sometimes. I use this as a hack. Sometimes a further taxi is cheaper than a closer one. Why? Because a closer taxi, maybe it's only 5 minutes away, but it's out of their zone. Taxis work by zones. So if you're in their zone, it's one price. Once they leave that zone, they charge you an extra fee, $20 more. So I realize if I call a taxi that's further away, but it's still in the same zone as the train station, I'll get a cheaper fare. The mashal of the Alter Rebbe brings this from Gemara. In the times of the Gemara is that the Chachamim used to learn 101 times. Why 101 times? Because since B'chol Ma'idcha is 101 times, even though everyone learned 100 times. So what's harder? Learn 100 times or learn one time? But that one, the Aleph, is not just a one. It's not in the ones place. It's not in the tens place. It's not in the 100 place. Not even a billions place. It's Oire in Seif is Alufi Shalaylam that you're drawing down, and therefore it's Ma'idcha. Because what it really means is I need to tap into something that's higher than this regular process and say they're Hishtalshalis. How do I get there? By going to my limit and going one above my limit. It doesn't really matter what my limit is. It could be 1 million, it could be 1 billion. When it comes to working out, it doesn't matter how many push-ups you did. What matters is that I get to my limit and push myself further. That's B'chol Ma'idcha. In other words, what that means is I'm putting myself on the side completely. It's not about me, it's about God. Because if it's about me, I did myself. I davened good, I learned good. There's a beautiful story from the Frierdiker Rebbe Frierdiker Rebbe says in a letter, a whole arichas letter, that there's two chassidim. One chassid, he's rich and he has a comfortable, warm home and he sleeps well at night. And he wakes up in the morning, he has comfortable slippers, doesn't have to touch the cold floor. And he goes to a warm mikveh and he eats a Danish and he learns chassidus and he meditates. Sorry about the Danish for the fast. I'm not trying to tease you. And what happens? Eventually, he meditates and he davens and he finishes davening. He sings a nig and he claps his finger. And he's so focused on his davening. He finishes davening and says, I daven good. And then there's another chassid who couldn't sleep at night. And he was stressed because he couldn't afford a full mansion. He's a poor guy. So his whole family, those days, 50, 60, 100 years ago, people lived in one apartment. One house was one big room. One corner was a dining room, one corner was a living room, one corner was a kitchen. So all the kids and the parents sleep in the same room. He couldn't sleep. His kids were making noise. He wakes in the morning and it was cold all night. They only had very few blankets. And there was cracks through the door. And the cold wind cut through his skin. And he woke up in the morning half asleep, freezing. And he didn't have anything to eat in the morning. He couldn't afford a warm mikveh. He had to break ice and go to the mikveh in the ice. And then he tried to learn some chassidus, but he was hungry. His stomach was making noise and disturbing him, and his children were crying that they were hungry. And his wife was complaining that that prince's shoes need to get patched by the cobbler, and that the ankles pants needs a patch. And then he tries to meditate. He tries to learn chassidus. He can't focus. Tries to meditate. He's always pulled from all directions. He goes to the corner to try to daven, and he hardly davens. He's hardly paying attention. He finishes davening, gives a krechts. So the Frierdiker Rebbe asks, I want to ask you this question: who davened? Who davened well? Who davened? So the question is, what is the goal? If the goal is that I should daven, I should be a big chassid, I should meditate, I should feel, my ego, which that comes after the Rebbe says in Seif Parshas Mishpat and comes Mechet Tzadas, then I don't know if that's the goal. But if the goal is to connect to God, to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so regular davening does take me to a connection. Same time, tshuva brings me to a much deeper connection. It brings the aleph, the alufei shel, it brings it down into from the rosh to the regel. In other words, even though you have a lot of energy here, but it's goyla, it's dark. The dark part of it is not because, and that's an interesting perspective. Now, the Rebbe is saying it's not always that it's dark because of a bad thing. Just even if there's light, but it's limited light. To want to pour itself out to its father because of its core, not because because God's core, which is sublime and uplifted without any limit. And he can't say about God that he fills the world or he surrounds the world. Because God is not this essence of God is not relevant to any worlds. He's beyond it. It's not even in the discussion. Talking about a little bit, one light making a massive difference. So I just want to, for a second, demonstrate it. Like this. I'm going to close the lights. And we're going to light a candle. One candle. And we're going to see what a difference that one candle makes. Look at how strong the light is. And that's specifically, oops, went out. When you give your 10 cents to tzedakah, when you really put in the effort, it lights up the world in such a way that it could have never been lit and never will be lit. Because your light, your rosh, is so special and so powerful. Have an easy fast and a freilich Purim.